HIV, this spirit of mine will never kill. This spirit of mine, this spirit of mine, this spirit of mine.
This set of twins is the latest addition to the family of Assunta Wagura, a woman who has lived with HIV for 26 years now and is aging closer to her jubilee year.
They were telling me because of my age, I can't get healthy children, and because of HIV status, it's putting the children at risk. But I think it's misinformation. The people assume that if you're HIV positive, you must get children who are HIV positive. But I have worked in HIV for long, and I know with the right medication and the right prophylaxis, you can get children who are free from HIV. And through the program of prevention of mother to child, I thought I'm going to get HIV-free babies.
Doctors warn that HIV could be transmitted through body fluids, including blood and breast milk. But at the same time, they want mothers to breastfeed their babies exclusively for the first 6 months. Does Assunta breastfeed?
I'm not breastfeeding. For reasons, I wouldn't want to take any chances. Even if there's 1% chance of infecting them, I wouldn't risk that 1%. So I do whatever is possible on my part to prevent any transmission from myself to the babies, including breastfeeding, which I can't do. So I'm feeding them on formula milk.
Assunta's achievement is no mean feat. People living with HIV who had lost hope of ever having children of their own draw inspiration from her.
If a woman is pregnant, or if a woman gets pregnant, so long as she's doing her prenatal care and she's taking her antiretroviral regimen, the child is actually safe. The child will not be positive. The child would actually, be born negative, as they should be.
The baby was born to an HIV-positive mother. The baby was on antiretroviral drugs for 15 months. And then at around that time, the mom just took her off of them. She stopped giving them and she stopped going back to the doctor. She was off the drugs for 8 to 10 months total. When they brought her back to the doctor around her 2nd birthday, there was no signs of HIV. The doctors in Mississippi couldn't find it. They brought in other doctors who couldn't find it. Now, what does this mean for other babies with HIV? Here's what the folks at Johns Hopkins have to say. They've been involved in this. They say it may help pave the way to eliminating HIV infection in children.
This has very important implications for pediatric HIV infection and the ability to achieve cure. So we think we should be able to replicate this.
In other words, maybe other babies can go on these drugs for a relatively short period of time and don't have to stay on them for life. Maybe they can just stay on them for a year, like this baby did. Now, this baby got high doses of 3 drugs right after birth, and they're saying that may be the way to go.
I know that there are ways that if you tell your doctor early enough, if you find out you're pregnant early enough, I know that there's medication that the female can take to not infect her unborn child. It's risky, but there are ways to not infect the child with HIV during the birthing process as well.
I would imagine that if the father is HIV positive and not on treatment, then there's a good likelihood that that baby will have HIV, but I don't know, I'm not a medical professional.
But I know that there are, women having babies, women that have got HIV now, having babies is a thing that is happening a lot more, and without the children getting HIV. But breastfeeding is the only thing I know, the only thing I know about.
Let me explain what this is. PrEP is a technique. It isn't a pill. It happens that you're taking one pill. It stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis. That means what? You're taking something before you're exposed to it. A lot of people are on PrEP, and what it's done, it has decreased tremendously the number of new infection and the number of people who are becoming HIV positive. All these studies are showing that it's 97% effective, not 100%.
So basically, if somebody's on PrEP, let's say your boyfriend's on PrEP, and you're positive, well, and you're undetectable. So you're positive and undetectable, and your boyfriend's on PrEP. So you have sex without a condom, but that's still considered safer sex because he's on PrEP and you're undetectable. You're on your medication, doing your thing, you're being compliant. He's taking PrEP, being compliant every day, taking his PrEP pill. So that's safer sex. And I practice safer sex.
Once PrEP, which I don't know about here in the States, but in the UK has kind of really taken off in the last 12 months. You know, it's so there's PrEP, there's condoms, you know, so it's just being careful in that way, you know, and just, you know, using anything that you can use to not get infected.
To prevent it, the continued use of condoms showed a major decrease. With today's standards or today's availability with PrEP and condoms, that's doubly the case. Now, here's the thing about that, because I'm not a saint. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I use condoms, because I don't. But I also make sure that my partners are not, if I do not infect them, because I tell them my status up front, and I also, you know, give them all available information, like my CD4, how long what medications I'm on, how long I've been on these medications.
One of the negatives when PrEP came out was people said, well, now no one's going to practice safe sex
and wear condoms.
Is that something that you've noticed? Is that a concern?
Yeah, absolutely. All the studies that were done were recommending safe sex. And even in those studies, they knew that that wasn't happening because people were coming down with STDs. I mean, the CDC a few months ago just came out saying, you know, we have an epidemic of syphilis and we have an epidemic of gonorrhea. So
Hep C.
Hepatitis C.
HPV.
All of these, all of the alphabet.
And also, if you are undetectable, like I am, if I ejaculate into someone, either male or female, the chances of them getting the virus is very, very, very low because I'm undetectable.
Well, if you're someone like me, I'll start with me. I have HIV, but I am on medication. I'm on successful treatment, and my viral load is undetectable. And so if your viral load is undetectable, then the risk of transference is negligible. It is practically zero. It is so small as to be non-important. Use condoms. Condoms are still effective. They're not 100% effective, but they're an effective tool. And, you know, using clean needles if you're an IV drug user and things like that. Then, you know, just making sure you know what kit you're using and all that kind of stuff.